episode of Reinventing Classrooms is a very special episode indeed. Now, if you've been watching our series, we've been going up and down the country, transforming different classroom environments in different schools. So we have done mainstream primary schools, we've done social and emotional and mental health schools, we've done special schools, and we are about to do a prep school. Eton End Prep School has recently been taken over by Rachael Cox, who's now the new headmistress. Now, Rachael has an amazing vision for this school and wants to make sure that every child's mental health and well-being is at the core of everything they do here. Rachael saw our work online and reached out and has been really brave and asked us to transform every single classroom in the school from year 3 all the way to year 6. Now, we've already been here. We were here in June and we transformed 4 of the classrooms, and we're back today to transform some more and to learn a little bit more about the school.
I'm Rachael Cox, I'm the headmistress of Eton End School in Datchet, and I've been in post since the 1st of September 2022, so just coming up to a year. Eton End has been around since 1936, and it was originally set up as a PNEU school, and it was following the philosophy of an educationist called Charlotte Mason. One of the main arms, I suppose, or strings to that particular educational philosophy and theory was about educating a whole child and about encouraging children to be children and to enjoy the very many aspects of life, the arts, the outdoors, all sorts of things. We all felt really strongly that those founding principles needed to remain, but we wanted to modernise them for the world of 2023 that our children are in and are growing up in, and growing up into enter a world that really we don't understand what that's going to look like. The rate of change is so rapid. So we wanted to make sure that whatever education we were going to give our children was as future-proof as we could make it by educating the child rather than just giving them stuff to learn. Children have got to learn to be self-directed learners. They've got to learn to be able to cope with change. They've got to understand that jobs that they enter may morph many times in their career. So they've got to be able to cope with that. They've got to be able to learn in different circumstances, work in different places, have a global view of the world, all of those things which mean that a very traditional curriculum of reading, writing and adding up on its own just isn't sufficient. My aims were to develop a school and a community which celebrates and protects childhood, number one, and secondly, prepares our children for their tomorrow. Our children in 2023 are not the same as children were even in 2010 or 2000. The world is changing at such a rapid rate. What our children are exposed to from a much younger age is so very different. So much of their life is about technology, and we will have children coming to nursery and reception who can't navigate necessarily a book or they don't necessarily naturally know the right way to hold a book or to hold a pencil, but they can swipe through iPads and technology because that's a world that they are familiar with and they know. And outside of school, many of our children socialise through technology, whether it's through their Xbox or their Switch or whatever gaming platform it might be, Minecraft, Roblox, whatever, but it is through technology. And I believe in 2023, more than ever, our children are coming to school not just to learn to read, write and add up, but also to learn to be human and to develop connections with other humans, and to learn to collaborate and to conflict solve and to share and to listen and respond to others. And the therapeutic classroom approach and teaching approach is facilitating all of that.
So in this episode of Reinventing Classrooms, I want us to not only look at the therapeutic classroom approach and of course Eton End's personal journey, but also to be able to see what happens behind closed doors of a prep school. Whilst I was visiting Eton End, I asked Rachael to talk to me about her outdoor areas, because in a world where children are indoors and on technology more and more, a school's outdoor offer is becoming increasingly important, and I love shedding a light on what different schools do across the country. Alright, so I know that learning outdoors is really important to you, and it's not just about the curriculum in the classroom, is it?
No.
This is reception's outdoor area?
It is. So we're really lucky here. We've got 6.5 acres of land. So both of our reception classes have their own outdoor space, as well as a reception field and a reception garden that they can come and tend. And during the summer months in particular, the children love coming out here and working with our early years phase leader to create this lovely space, getting their hands dirty, getting in the mud, all that sensory stuff that comes with the planting, but also the satisfaction of growing pumpkins and tomatoes, as well as flowers, and learning about where their food comes from and being able to do things with it themselves. We recognise that in 2023 life is a little bit different, and the curriculum and the things that we have to do, but we also feel that that's a really important part of our heritage.
Yeah.
And for so many children today who don't have the freedoms of the outdoors that even we had when we were growing up, it's so important that we give them that time and space just to be outside and feel it, and we think there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing.
Yeah, I agree.
So whatever the weather, the children will be outside with their wellies and their boiler suits and enjoying the space that we've got.
And behind us we've got this pond.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about this pond, because it's not often that I go to school and there's an actual pond.
There is an actual pond with actual water.
Yeah.
And you will notice that although we have a fence around this area, there isn't a fence directly around the pond.
Yeah.
So again, children need to learn to self-assess risk.
Yeah.
They need to learn to understand what's safe and what's not safe. So we've got it fenced off from a broader perspective because it backs onto our early years area, and so it's really important. But once the children are inside, we've got an outdoor classroom there right next to it. So if they're pond dipping or they're doing something around here, they can go and then do their work outside without having to go back into the science labs. We use this for all sorts of things. In the summer, they might have their match teas here after a fixture. But equally, they could be out here getting all sorts of tadpoles and bugs and newts and all sorts of things. So it is a really lovely part of our school.
Like you say, there's no fence around it, they need to assess risk, and lots of schools wouldn't have it because it's a risk, whereas what you're saying is, again, it's part of life. It's really important part of life to see wildlife like this.
Yes.
And actually we can teach our children to assess that risk for themselves.
We absolutely can. That's one of the reasons they come to school.
Yeah.
If we remove all risk from our children's lives, how are we preparing them for when they get to 14 or 15, 16, and they're going to go off and start, as they rightly should, to be independent and to make choices and decisions about what they do, where they go, who they go with, how they behave, if from being tiny we've taken all of that away from them and said, we're not allowing you to be exposed to any risk whatsoever. How do they learn to risk assess?
Yeah, exactly.
So here, there's always staff here. If the children have got a pond exercise, we're going to have 2 members of staff here, at least in this area. So, and obviously we are blessed because we have much smaller class sizes. But we can say to the children, where do you think is a safe place to be? They might get a piece of chalk and mark it on the decking and say, well, I think if I stand behind this piece, but that's not us telling us, it's not us drawing a line and saying, it's all about them working it out for themselves. In our nursery, in the classroom, we've got a tool bench. It has a real saw, it has a hammer, it has nails, and our 2 and 3 year olds are there under supervision learning to use those pieces of equipment that are designed for children that age and to risk assess how they manage it.
Not every school has 6 acres of land, but being creative and making use of the space you do have can transform learning for children. Getting them outdoors to learn is invaluable, and it can increase their social, emotional and mental health, as well as their academic learning and their attainment.
So this is the Hive, and this was opened in September 2020.
Okay.
And was partly funded by the Friends of Eton End, which is our parent association, and it's part of our outdoor learning space, so we've got several. We've seen the one by the reception gardens, and we have another one for our nursery. So nursery have their own outdoor classroom, so we can replicate the areas of learning outside in the same way as we have them inside the building. And this really is for use all across the school. You can see we've got a good old-fashioned chalkboard at the back there, and seats where the children can actually come and have a lesson as such. We've also got a lovely circle here and with inside the willow with a fire pit in the middle, so we can toast marshmallows and make kettles of hot chocolate and whatever. And we've got a wildflower meadow here, and obviously this is the end of the summer holidays, so it's looking a little bit wilder than it would look during term time. But this area is wildflower meadow, really to attract the butterflies and the bees and the things like that we want to do. And the children come here for all sorts of lessons, so they'll come here for an English lesson just as often as they might come here for a science lesson.
That's nice.
Or they might come down here to do some drama, or history if they're learning about the sort of the Vikings and the Celts, and sitting around the fire pit and with the wicker around them just really helps to contextualise it. A lot of what we do here is about giving the children what we call experiential learning. So we want them to be in the moment and to feel the different senses and all the things that apply to that learning. So it's much more interesting to do that sat around a fire pit, talking about the Vikings, than it is up in a classroom. Even if you've got a video or something to watch, it's not quite the same. I think for a lot of people, they hear the word prep school and they immediately think of quite elite institutions, of families who are very wealthy, and their children have everything they could ever want, and all of the advantages in life that there are to have, that's the way it's seen, and that they are hugely advantaged in their education and generally in their lives. And to a large extent, some of those preconceptions are true, but they are, for an awful lot of our families, not the case at all. Many of our families work really hard and make huge sacrifices to afford to send their children to independent schools, because they want to give their children the best possible start they can in life. But they also want them to have a broad and rich life experience, something which we are more able to give because we have longer days, because we are not wedded to the national curriculum, we're not wedded to doing SATs or similar things, and that gives a huge amount of freedom.
So the interesting thing about this approach and this particular school is that it housed 3 generations of classroom furniture that almost maps out history. So behind me, we've got the old-fashioned wooden lift-up desks. Now these are being used in the school as close to last week. So you literally lift up the top and the children put their things in, and they're paired with a wooden uncomfortable chair. This was the norm in schools for years and years and years if we think back to our history books. I want to say Victorian times, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. The next generation is the generation that you tend to see in schools now. So we haven't really come very far. If you think, these were the post-war type style classroom chairs and tables. So we have our plastic chairs. Now these are probably from the younger year groups in the school, but they're the same as you would find in year 5 and 6, just a bit smaller. Our plastic chairs are actually a post-war chair, the style of them, and these were considered to be extraordinary, forward-thinking pieces of furniture back in the day. They were groundbreaking. Now we still use them today, and they're not really any more comfortable than your wooden chair from previous generations. And again, the tables are the same. They're not really configured very well. 2 children have to sit next to each other. They might be kind of clustered together to get more children around them, but they're not really very comfortable. Next, we have our brand new generation of furniture, which is super exciting. So the school have literally moved through to this. Now this is just one example of our flexible seating. And here we have modern round tables where the children can sit. It's collaborative, it frees up space, and they're paired with beautiful, plush really comfortable chairs to sit on, and they are adult sizes. Now these chairs fit children from year 3 all the way up to year 6, and they're cosy and comfortable and help children regulate. The children also want to be on them, which means that they're more comfortable and more engaged in the classroom. Now, if you're really honest, out of these 3 styles of chairs, which one would you prefer to sit on? I know for me, it would be this one. It's more comfortable, it's my size, and it just is a little bit more inviting and a bit more welcoming. But this is the conventional choice for most primary schools and secondary schools across the UK. Now, we have worked in a variety of settings doing our therapeutic classroom approach. We've worked in mainstream primaries, social, emotional and mental health schools, we've worked in special schools, and we've worked in a prep school. And every single one of them chooses these plastic chairs because that's what's on the market, that's what's available. But we know that our children are uncomfortable on them. They swing on the back of the chairs, they complain of having a sore bum, they might fidget. And even as adults, when we have to sit on them for staff meetings or with the children, we get really uncomfortable too. It's time to move away from the plastic chair and move towards something that is of this generation. Now, although I'm a childhood trauma specialist and trauma is really important to me, making sure that our classrooms are inclusive for all children with all backgrounds, this isn't just an approach for children with trauma or special educational needs. This is an approach for everybody, and the fact that we're at a prep school today really showcases that, and that is what makes this particular project so exciting. The therapeutic classroom approach is for every child.
My name is Liv Dempsey. I am Deputy Head Academic and I'm in my 6th year here. So when I first heard about the therapeutic classrooms and the therapeutic school approach, I was quite nervous because it had the word therapeutic in it. And I think people automatically assume that it's something really specialist and it's to do with therapy and that it isn't for necessarily a mainstream school and probably really not for a prep school, let alone the state sector. However, looking into it and realising that actually it's just the way that you look at it, it's not a specific thing that you have to follow necessarily, all of my fears have been allayed. So in our setting, I think it's really important that we take this approach because we don't know what has happened before those children walk through the door. And people have a perspective that a school like ours, everybody turns up happy and rosy and that there's no problems whatsoever. And that's just not true. There's a different kind of problems or there's a different level of problem. And we need to be prepared to be there and make this an emotionally safe place for our children. And it doesn't matter what their background is or it doesn't matter what they've experienced. You don't know how they are and what's in their head when they walk through the door. And the benefit of having this training is that you are ready for absolutely anything. And whether it's something really small that's just set them up to fail for that day or something absolutely massive that's horrendous, we have the skills and the knowledge to be able to help that child. I think it's important that we marry up the training with the classrooms because you have to be in the right environment to be able to move forward with the knowledge you have. So for example, if you're in a really, really busy space and you're being sensorily overloaded, there's no way that you can mentally get into a good place because physically you're not in a good place. So if you don't have that safe physical space, you're not going to be able to have the safe emotional space. So in my role as Deputy Head Academic, on the surface, all I'm interested in is attainment. However, you can't have good attainment if the children aren't in the right place to learn. So this improvement in well-being will only benefit me, although it's not directly in my remit. If the children are happy and they're engaged and they're feeling safe, then they're naturally going to produce better results. So although hypothetically it doesn't come under my remit, actually when you look at the whole child and what you want to achieve, they have to have a really solid well-being base to be able to achieve academically.
After exploring the school, it was time to work on the remaining classrooms. So, with my children in tow and many of the school staff, we got to work. We worked worked throughout the day building and setting up the furniture to completely transform the old traditional classrooms into therapeutic ones.
I'm the Deputy Head Pastoral and this is my 7th year at Eton End. I've been teaching 25 years and the therapeutic classroom is so completely different to the classroom that I trained in and that I've worked for so many years alongside so many children and obviously different members of staff, and it is a completely different environment. We still have all of the things that we might need. You have a dictionary, you have pencils, pens and all those things, but the environment itself lends itself to calmness, quietness. It lends itself to children being able to be themselves, being comfortable in their own space. We've seen a huge change in our staff as well, their comfort zones, the way that they behave with the children, the way they are in their own environment, the ownership they have over that environment as well. Although lots of things are very similar, they're able to bring in their own touches too. The difference is huge, but the differences are fantastic. Having the training alongside having the practical experience of having our classrooms set up as therapeutic environments has been really beneficial. We started off with Module 1, which was the childhood trauma in the brain, and we went on to Module 5, which was the environment, creating a therapeutic environment. So we were able really quickly to set up our therapeutic environments. And even the classrooms who haven't had a huge makeover have already started taking into account lots of different things: soft lighting, soft furnishings, more greenery, less bright colours on the walls, much more muted tones. So we've really found it really helpful to run the two things alongside each other. At Eton End, the children are at the heart of everything we do, and the children's wellbeing is so important to us that this seemed like a really, really valuable way of expressing that to our children, to our staff and to our families. Children's wellbeing is so important in their education. If they're not feeling happy, if they're not feeling safe, both emotionally and physically, then their path to learning is going to be disjointed. At Eton End, we really pride ourselves on the wellbeing of our children, and it's something that we work really hard towards every day.
For quite a long time, I have felt that our classrooms, our traditional classrooms, are not what children today need. But I wasn't really quite sure what they did need. I didn't know really what I wanted it to look like. I just knew that what we got wasn't right anymore. But as soon as I saw them, I just thought, this is brilliant. And I actually wasn't in post here, I was in my previous job. And I remember calling my assistant head into my office and saying, look at this. And I felt that what I saw in the therapeutic classrooms fitted the ethos of this school. And very early on in my time here, I started to have conversations with the governors about being brave and doing things very differently, particularly in the prep school sector, which, you know, people traditionally think is so set in its ways and we do things this way, that actually I said we need to be trailblazers and we need to be showing people that doing it differently can be really productive.
So what I would say in a conventional classroom that doesn't work for the children is how busy the walls look, how busy the windows can look, the doors can look. I feel that when you have so many display boards, you have that onus as a teacher to fill them. But with these classrooms, you don't have that onus. I think the children can look at the wall and say, this is calm. It's what I need. I don't need to use all these different conjunctions or sentence openers, or I don't have to use this number strategy. I can just come in and feel comfortable and happy, and I can just be a child. And that's okay, because here they're supposed to be happy and they're supposed to enjoy their learning and not feel the pressure that they will feel as they get older. All of the children We'll know how much they're wanted here, how much they are welcome here. The classrooms are calm, they're relaxing. The dining table, the different chairs, the bean bags, the sofas, it doesn't feel like a classroom. I think it just feels like a home away from home. And I think that's the most amazing thing for us to try and incorporate here at Eton End.
Trying to figure out where to put this very large, amazing beanbag. I'm going to put it over here, which is right behind you. Alright, Emma, ready?
Ready?
This is your room. Wow. Welcome. Thank you.
Wow!
I absolutely loved working on this project, and after years of lift-up desks and uncomfortable seating, these rooms now mirrored Rachael's ethos for the school, offering a calm, welcoming, inclusive space for every child and ensuring that they met the needs of today's learners. How do you think the children will sort of utilise the room? Like, do you think what benefits do you think it'll have for your...
I love this bit. I love the them sitting around. I can see them sitting, because they're so little and diddy, I can see them sitting around the table. Yeah, I think it's going to be great. It's definitely calmer and it's really spacious, and yeah, it's going to be lovely.
Airy. Just
airy.
Feel more really light.
Oh my word. I think my room's bigger actually.
It is, isn't it? It's
yeah,
got a lot more
yeah,
space.
yeah. Oh yeah, I love it.
Lots of storage.
That's my storage.
What was yours like before?
It was the same. I had along there, I had shelving along here, all this along here, and then in the middle, and all the coats at the back, different coats and shoes, and then just all the desks in the middle.
The lift-up desk.
Lift-up desks, yeah, we've all got lift-up desks, so this is completely different.
Do you think it'll change the way that you are in the room?
I think so. I think it definitely will, because I think because the room's calmer, the children will be calmer. But I think I'll be calmer as well. I'll start off calmer, and I really like the calming music when they come in.
Yeah.
I think that will work really well.
Wow. Oh, it looks amazing. This one had so many desks in that you couldn't walk around the room. All storage, all at the back, all coats up here. It does look bigger.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it feel more spacious?
Yeah, you can walk around it. It supports the idea of walking around, getting involved.
People often ask me how to create a therapeutic classroom with a teeny tiny space, and they'll often say, well, I can't do that because my room's too small. This room is tiny, and although it's for 16 students, If you can get in 16 students with conventional furniture, I can make a therapeutic classroom. And the same goes for a class of 30. Designing these classroom spaces has been a little bit tricky at times, especially in this classroom. Now, some of the spaces in the school are really big, and that's great. Some of the classrooms are really small. Now, although these rooms are not for 30 children, they're for 16, we still have to get in all of the elements of a therapeutic classroom. And one of the really important parts of our therapeutic classroom is our calm and cosy area. So we had to get a sofa in here, even though the space is really, really tight. This room is testament to the fact that no matter how small your room is, you can get a therapeutic classroom out of an itty bitty tiny space. One of the things that's really important about a classroom is storage, and it's one of the things that I get asked quite a lot. If the rooms are clutter-free and they're so calm, where do the teachers put all of their things? Now, I find storage solutions anywhere and everywhere in clever ways. This one is tucked in behind the main classroom door, but actually using little nooks and crannies to give us more space can really help maximise storage potential. Here we've added a large bookcase, but we also add smaller bookcases, baskets, clever shelves. We might have little nooks where storage can go, anywhere really where you can hide things away and it doesn't look cluttered. I know it can be really, really hard when you feel that you've got lots of things that you need to use, but there are loads of ways for you to find purposeful storage without the room feeling cluttered and overwhelmed for the children. Now, a therapeutic classroom has specific elements, and that doesn't just include tables and chairs and resources and storage and a desk and a chair. It also includes calm areas, little nooks and places where children can go to work that might not be conventional or standard. So in every therapeutic classroom, we have a sofa. Now that might be an L-shaped sofa like this if there's enough space, which are brilliant and the children love them. But it might be a two-seater sofa, or even in some tiny rooms, 2 armchairs and a coffee table. And every room has other elements that allow the children to use the space. So over here, because this room is so beautiful and large, we've got some gorgeous bookcases which can be filled with reading materials, maybe fidgets and some sensory toys if needed, a futon and some cushions and some blankets. The idea is that the children can come over here and just sit around the space, use the sofa, use these really wonderful large floor cushions and kind of have a more social aspect to their learning. Now it might be that a certain child can't do their maths today at a table because they're just not feeling in the right mindset, but they will do it sat on the floor under a blanket. The question is, I suppose for you, is what do you value more? A child sat at a table, sat upright and working, or a child lay on the floor but engaged? Now in our most recent classroom makeovers, we've been using some really cool added seating that can be moved around the room, and that includes our amazing big beanbags. Now this can be used indoors and outdoors, and it gives so much flexibility to seat in. Children can pull them over and sit by the board, maybe if there's carpet time or if they're doing a piece of work where they can collectively sit on the carpet. It might be that they can't use the sofa because somebody else is on it, but they can come over to the beanbag. It might be that they can drag this beanbag outside if you're lucky enough to have an outdoor space on your classroom, and it adds that flexibility for children to be able to have another place to learn within the classroom. Now, these are not additional spaces that are only there for children when they need to regulate or when they don't feel happy. These are learning spaces. This is a place where a child can do their maths work or their reading just as much as sitting at the table. Now let's talk about high bar tables. Everybody loves the high bar tables that we've put into their classrooms, and we've been doing this in a variety of different ways since our very first ever classroom in 2019. Now the actual style of the bar table has evolved from Amazon bought ones to handmade ones that we have specifically designed for our therapeutic classrooms. But the idea of sitting at a high bar table is something that really appeals to so many of the children and staff alike. Being able to sit up high does something to your posture that makes you want to learn. I experience it too for myself when I'm learning and writing. And so that feeling of being able to sit up, chat to your peers, do your work, gives you a sense of ownership, independence, makes you feel a bit more grown up, and is something that our children are really drawn to. What you find is the children who are less engaged in the conventional classroom setup, and even on the lower round tables and dining tables in our rooms, will learn on the high bar tables. Because we've already been here in June to set up 4 out of 8 of our classrooms, we're really lucky today to be able to catch one of the teachers who's been using the room for the last few months. I am so keen to get her thoughts and her views on how the children have been impacted by our therapeutic classrooms and how it's changed teaching. Okay, so you have been in this room for how long now?
Since May,
So we're in
August.
So quite a while,
Yeah.
really, compared to the new ones that we've done today.
Today, yeah. For me, there was a lot of changes that had happened. The children absolutely loved it. I loved teaching in here. I think it just felt a little bit more relaxed. The children felt a lot more relaxed, and there was lots of different areas that they could go to if they wanted to kind of work in a different way.
How are you using the sofa? So talk me through this area, because obviously the sofa area for me is massively important to be in the room, and it's not often in a classroom.
No.
So tell me a little bit about how the children sort of use this space.
So we had a few children that used to come in a bit wobbly in the morning. So first thing in the morning, it would be their kind of comfort area. Let me calm down, let me self-regulate myself. And when they're ready, they'll come and join in with the lesson, which was really nice. Also, when they were kind of working and doing their activities, some of them would say, oh, can we go and sit on the sofa and do it? Absolutely fine, not a problem. So they enjoyed that. They just lean on that table and sit on the sofa and relax. And yeah, it was just a complete transformation of the children. You could just see immediately the weight is like lifted off their shoulder, because it really does feel like being at home.
The first thing I thought was, it's even a classroom.
That's a great...
Did someone cut off the classroom and replace it with a living room of someone's house?
In 2020, when we were all at home, it was like nice working out the comfort of your own home. Now when you're in school, it feels like that, and it's like less stressful with everything like crowded and cramped around you. And it's like nice and spacious and minimalistic, and there's not like loads of things on the walls and different bright colours that are like distracting, especially during like assessments.
When I came in here, I quickly ran in the classroom. It felt like I was at home.
When I saw it the first time, I definitely was a bit shocked, because it was a very big change for me. And although it feels a lot better and calmer, and you like to do your learning at home, which I think it definitely helps, because like the atmosphere and the tables definitely makes you feel calmer.
So how do you think it will improve your learning?
Like help me be more focused, because already I'm really bad at focusing. I get caught off guard really easily, so having a nice environment to help me with.
I feel like it would be, instead of you being very stressed, for example, about a test, you will be more at home, feeling comfortable, relaxed,
So comfort, relaxed and some positive learning. That's a lovely start to the week. Thank you both.
When you're in like a relaxed environment, it doesn't feel like there's pressure. When it's like all bare and like so crowded, it feels really stressful. And then now with all these just small tables and like colours that mix in with the rest,
yes,
it just feels like there's so much space, and you feel more relaxed and less stressed, and then there's less pressure, and then it's really nice just being in that environment.
So that is a wrap on Eton End. Now this project is really exciting because we've done a whole prep school, and the first prep school in the UK to be a therapeutic school from year 3 all the way through to year 6. I am really confident in knowing that these classrooms are going to help support Rachael's vision to help teach children that not only should they be flourishing academically, but also socially and emotionally. And it's obvious that this school puts mental health and wellbeing at the core of everything they do here.